right, last but not least, I want to get into this last conversation about Denver. So we all know that Denver is or what used to be a sanctuary city, but they basically saying that the rise of Denver for some is the demise of Denver for others. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, and let's get it popping.
Located at the foot of the Rocky Mountains, in a state that prides itself on 300 days of sunshine, it's easy to see the appeal of the mile-high city.
It is vibrant, it is diverse, it's entrepreneurial, and I think it's going to be a leading figure.
Full of migrants
In the United States economy for decades to come.
From 2010 to 2020, more than 115,000 people moved to Denver. That's about a 20% increase. But housing these new residents has proved increasingly difficult. About half of the state's housing shortfall was concentrated in Denver in 2021.
You had all this demand coming in and very low supply. There simply aren't enough people in Denver and the Denver area to build the number of homes that the market really needs.
You know what also is in that? Because a lot of people just say, oh man, it's the number of homes. It's everything. When you build out, go over to Vegas. If you go over to the surrounding cities in Vegas and Henderson and all of that, you got to build out infrastructure. You got to build schools, trash and waste pickup. You have to, it's a lot. It's more than just building the homes. It's also displacing people, gentrifying particular areas. The boom of a city or people moving over into a city en masse can severely disrupt the locals in that particular area. And you have a lot that you have to start charging the city with as far as getting millages in order to be able to have that population boom, because they want them tax dollars, right? Water, all of that stuff, right? And so they start to build streets. And that's when you start getting a whole bunch of these big old cookie cutter homes in one particular area.
In many ways, we're probably a victim of our own success. Over the years, we've seen new corporate headquarters relocate to Colorado, and we've truly seen, I think, an economic boom.
But while the area is going through a boom, there are about 2 jobs for every individual looking for work.
So don't sit here and tell me that y'all don't know how to find no jobs, because they say it's 2 jobs for every single person looking for a job over in Denver. There's 2 jobs for every 1 person for all of y'all that's saying that y'all don't know where the work is. It's probably why they had the migrant crisis and it was a sanctuary city for a while. They just couldn't get the approval of the visas from the Biden administration because it's an election year.
It's been estimated that the labor shortage and skills mismatch cost the state around $40 billion in GDP loss annually.
You're going to see a lot of value creation, jobs, technology, revolutionizing everything from consumer tech to medical to cybersecurity over here in the next
street
decade.
performers.
And Colorado is the epicenter of that.
But will the state of Colorado and the city of Denver be able to keep it as one of the best cities in the U.S. to live and visit, and home to one of the country's hottest music scenes? Denver has put its mark on the map.
I think actually probably Nashville is probably better than that. And Nashville has exploded in value also. Everybody is trying to move there too.
Colorado is no stranger to different waves of migration into the state, starting in the 70s, people from the coast coming to the state of Colorado for a different way of life.
Denver is now home to thriving technology sectors. Of the 50 largest metro areas, the region ranked first in absolute aerospace employment.
It's a very robust and thriving employer base, and also a great companion, as you know, to a lot of other legacy businesses and manufacturing, others that use those tools to grow and scale. So we think it's been a great accelerant for Denver over the last decade.
When taking into account the size and maturity
That's
of its
Mayor
business
Mike
network,
Johnston.
Denver ranked as the 19th startup city in the world.
Let me look at this. San Francisco, trash. New York, garbage. Beijing, Shanghai, LA, Boston. I actually like Boston. I really like Boston a lot. It's expensive. London is also one of the most expensive places in the world also to live. Shenzhen, Seoul. I can't wait to visit Seoul in August possibly. Tokyo, one of my favorite cities. Let me see. What other American cities is on here? Washington, Seattle, Singapore, San Diego, Austin, Tel Aviv, and then Denver. I'm not really sure that I would want to be on this list. This is not really good company. This is really not good company. This is crazy. A lot of these places is S-holes, bro.
Sports and entertainment is also booming. Red Rocks Amphitheater ranked as the fourth busiest entertainment venue globally in 2023.
Really? I didn't
And the
know
city's
that.
4 major sports teams bring in more than $1 billion of annual revenue. GDP is up more than 50% compared to 2017 for Denver County. Of all of Colorado's metro areas, the city saw the highest number of jobs added in 2023. The city's attractive lifestyle, mixed with ample job opportunities, have attracted many new residents from outside the state.
We have some of the highest educated residents in the country. Now, that's not necessarily because they have come out of our own education system. I and many other people come from the coasts. And so that's something that has been described as the Colorado paradox, right? That on the one hand, people who are born and raised in our education system don't necessarily have the degree attainment that we would like, and yet the state has been very good at importing people who have been educated by
Yeah, Singapore is top of my list too, big dog. 100%.
other states.
This influx of highly educated workers, while longtime residents are unable to catch up, has caused a divide between the have and have-nots.
So much like in other cities like San Francisco, where prices went sky high, you see more people who are in sectors where they don't make as much money. They're having to move farther and farther.
Coco James says, don't hate because the Bay Area has very innovative people. Really? Seriously? Are we really having that conversation after all of the different reports that I've made? In and out. In and out don't even want to stay in the Bay Area. They're like, we out of here, fam. Can't even keep this place safe no more. I think that the West Coast is falling. Y'all last stand is with Kendrick Lamar.
Farther out from the city.
As Metro Denver continues to grow, housing and lack thereof is at the forefront of politicians' minds. The city is short 70,000 homes.
The answer to housing in our case is not further and further out, because we have the land, and that's in many ways the default, but that means longer commute times, more congestion, worse air quality. So it's how do we live in a way where we don't sacrifice that quality of life.
We want this both to be one of the hottest economic markets in the country, and we want it to still be the maybe only booming city where you can also be the second grade teacher who teaches school in Denver, and you can still live down the street from the school that you teach. You know, most of those post-boom cities, the San Franciscos and others, you don't have teachers or nurses or firefighters who live in San Francisco anymore.
But right now, that's not realistic. A report by the Colorado Education Association found that 50% of educators struggled to afford housing costs in 2023. The average price of a home in Denver is about $580,000, up about 65% since January.
And you know what the funniest part about that is? The last stand for the West Coast is Kendrick, and Kendrick don't even live on the West Coast no more. Kendrick is the last stand, and he don't even live on the West Coast. Oh, man. Maybe LaRussell, but Kendrick said, I'm not even on the West no more. West, y'all.
2016. That compares to the national average of around $360,000.
That's a detriment to homeownership for families making $100,000, $120,000. Still very hard to be able to get their down payment, monthly interest payments on a $600,000, $700,000 home.
The median household salary sits just below $90,000.
The entire country is in a housing shortage right now simply because after the Great Recession, builders stopped building. In Denver, it's particularly acute because you have so much new demand. You had people moving there from California when home prices got too high there. Then also during the pandemic, you had people saying, hey, if I can work anywhere, why not work in Denver? Because I'm...
Hey, what is a house? Like, what house size do you guys say that you need in order to be super comfortable in the house that you have? What is the proper house size? Is it like a little over 1,000 square feet? Is it 1,500, 1,300, 1,800, 2,000? What's the ideal house size? Not something that y'all want to live extravagantly in, but something that you feel you would be absolutely comfortable for it to be a home for you to be able to retire in. What's the proper house size for y'all?
right at the foot of the Rockies.
In 2023, it was estimated that Colorado would need 220,000 construction workers by 2027, an increase of 40,000 from its total of about 180,000. That's off to a rocky start, as 2,400 construction workers were lost in the past year.
Y'all need that much room?
To incentivize more people to high-demand fields like
feet?
construction, the state has passed bills offering scholarships to recent high school graduates.
The whole idea is to get more lower priced housing into the market, whether it's tax incentives or incentives for the builders. It's not for the high end of the market, to be sure. It's to get more affordable housing into the Denver market, because right now it just doesn't exist.
Hey, Keisha says polygamy is looking real good with these numbers. Hey, we had that conversation yesterday. I might continue it today on After Hours because it'll be good to get a woman's perspective with Mika being on the show or whatever. But yeah, man, it would be interested to get into that. Jay Anderson, listen, man, I don't care nothing about what nobody else got going on. We in our own world, we in our own space. Bag chasers just exceeded. Let me see how many chasers we got over here. We about money over here, man. We don't care nothing about that. We focus. Everybody want people to beef. I'm not into that beef stuff no more, man. I'm into getting money, having a good time. We almost had 7,100 bag chasers and Patreon members, bro. Real talk. We literally are almost at 7,100. We had 7,778 chasers, bro. 7,778 chasers. Do I look like I got time to be beefing on the internet? I'm a 42-year-old man, man. I don't even know if what you're saying is true. Y'all can miss me with all of that beef shit. I'm about to catch a flight today and go and have some fun. I wear free clothes for my chasers. We got merch dropping. God bless y'all. Good luck with y'all little. If this is what you subscribe to say, God bless you, bro. We got After Hours popping off tonight, and then we got a meetup coming in July. God bless y'all, bro.
Colorado had 200,000 job openings and about 114,000 unemployed individuals in February of 2024. That's nearly 2 jobs for every 1 person looking for work.
Is a little misleading. And I think the issue is ultimately comes down to a mismatch. Just because a job is available doesn't mean someone is necessarily trained and ready to go for that occupation.
That's the Colorado paradox Wasserman was speaking about earlier. The city and the state as a whole is experiencing robust growth with plenty of jobs available. But many born and raised in the state don't have the credentials to compete for those jobs that require a higher education. The Bell Policy Institute says that the Denver metro area labor challenges are reasonably representative of what's happening statewide.
That's why they're bringing in all of these migrants to fill these jobs that y'all don't want.
Ultimately, the city faces a stark dilemma. It needs more skilled workers, but doesn't have the housing infrastructure to accommodate its own population, let alone more people. Simultaneously,
Reading
Denver
super
is
chat
dealing with an
shortly.
influx of migrants.
There is rather an overwhelming homeless population in Denver, which is a blight on the city. A lot of it has to do with migrant workers who have come in and just to be sure, a big drug problem in Denver, and that's caused a lot of homelessness. What the city is trying to do is to solve that temporarily, at least by building some tiny homes or trying to house them in other places. It's not part of the Denver real estate market.
Denver
Look at that, man. That's a prison, bro. Y'all see that little tiny home with that little bed that was next to it? And see, this is the part of the city that a lot of them don't show y'all. They don't show y'all all of the homelessness. They don't show y'all the tent cities. They don't show y'all people getting priced out. Crazy, bro.
40,000 migrants in 2023. And the mayor estimates that the city will need $100 million in 2024 to pay for their housing, schooling, healthcare, and other services.
No.
These costs have now led to budget cuts for local recreation centers and city services. But there could be a silver lining.
Long term, we benefit, of course, from the immigrant presence in our state. Again, as long as they have work permits and are legal.
The vacancies in our labor economy, right? So the top 3 are healthcare, information technology, and food service right now. So not just anybody can work in any job. And so there are obviously language barriers, education and workforce barriers. And so, I mean, there's no question that in this labor shortage, there are certainly opportunities for some of these migrants to work in these positions.
However,
and so ultimately what Democrat cities thought that they were going to do, part of what they thought that they were going to do, but the only person that's putting a linchpin in that is the Biden administration, because the Biden administration don't want to issue a whole bunch of overtly issuing work permits because they don't want to be looked at as the bad guy in an election year. But in reality, they leave and open the borders and they even letting criminals in, and they just going to say, hey, we just going to deal with whatever the consequences are, because the goal is to get these people work visas to fill jobs. And then ultimately they also fill in a part of the population for a lot of these cities that have an exodus out of them, like Chicago. And so then you add them to the tax rolls. And so they're investing a significant amount of taxpayer dollars to ultimately get their tax revenue up, and then to make the city more vibrant again. You guys have basically invested in immigrant infrastructure, educating them, allowing for them to come in and take certain jobs that you don't want because it adds to the tax base and it also prevents them from having a declining population. But the problem is that they can't get the the Biden administration to play ball. They're not issuing work visas. They're not allowing them to be able to become legal, but they leaving the borders open. And so this is one of the reasons why the migrant crisis is playing out, is because it always comes back down to the money, man.
However, the timeline to obtain a work permit is lengthy, and the associated costs can be prohibitive.
And I will get calls from CEOs every day who say to me, Mike, I saw you had 100 more migrants arrive today. I got 100 open jobs. Can I please hire them? And the frustrating part is we got folks here who want to work. We got employers who want to hire them. We have a federal government standing in the way to say that they can't go to work.
What did I just tell y'all? What did I just tell y'all? I have no time to be able to watch these clips before we review them in real time. They want the federal government to play ball since they're leaving the borders open, but they can't during an election year because they're risking losing to Donald Trump in the election. And so they don't want to admit and say what they really want to do. And it's not about legal immigration. It's about illegal immigration and then eventually turning them into a workforce, a slave workforce that ultimately feed into the economy and business owners in order to continue to keep this thing booming. And so they've done their part. They forwarded the money. They invested in this infrastructure. And ultimately, they can't get these migrant workers to be able to work because they can't get the federal government to be able to play ball. That's really what it comes down to. That's all it comes down to. It's a finesse. It's money. And it's coming on the behalf of the taxpayers and y'all, but they're not going to exactly tell you that. You got to use your context clues in order to put it together. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, enough is enough.